Robert,
Yes, sir.
in terms of what Geithner and Summers had to say yesterday, it really wasn't too much of a hypothetical back and forth. It was about do they think it's possible to do deficit reduction? But that's not
Well, we can quibble about whether the word possible.
That's not what the word hypothetical. Is it possible to do everything the president wants to do without increasing revenues on the middle class?
Right, and I want to just state again clearly here that the president has made a very clear commitment to not raise taxes on middle-class families, period.
But if economists, including the president's own economists, don't necessarily think that it's possible to do so without raising taxes on the middle class, how is that dealing candidly with the American people?
Well, again, Jake, there are a series of things that have to be done. I think you'll actually hear an announcement from Treasury later this afternoon about how much money has to be borrowed versus what they thought was going to have to be borrowed and what will have to be borrowed as a result of financial stabilization in terms of cutting the amount of money that's needed. Again, I think the president has been clear on this. The first thing that we can do, the most important thing that we can do right now is get our economy growing again. We know that the deficit, part of the reason that the deficit is up right now is that the economy has slowed down so much that tax revenues, because this is what happens in an economic slowdown, have regressed a lot. I think the president, obviously that we're going to have to make some decisions down the road on some of the president's legislative priorities and some of the things that Congress wants to do to evaluate how we move back toward fiscal sustainability. Yes, sir.
So did Geithner and Summers go off script, or were they sort of testing the temperature out there of what something like this would?
I don't know. I know the president's been clear about his commitment on this.
So there's no real scenario there, as the administration sees it, where middle-class taxpayers might be hit with a hike. There's no scenario right now.
The president's been clear, very clear.
Could I make that even a little more precise? The president, as you well know, is not just middle class, but he's been very precise about it.
Let me be
no
precise.
Family.
Let me be
Go ahead.
precise. The president's clear commitment is not to raise taxes on those making less than $250,000 a year.
So any implication anybody drew from Geithner and Summers yesterday to the contrary is flatly wrong.
I think the president's been clear. I think you heard him reiterate it not that long ago, right outside this room in the Rose Garden.
But you can understand why people took what they said yesterday as Geithner and Summers trying to open the door a little bit.
Well, I hope you'll take my reiteration of his clear commitment as an update.
So they were not. The door is closed. They did not open the door
I
at
am
all.
reiterating the president's clear commitment in the clearest terms possible that he's not raising taxes on those that make less than $250,000 a year.
Did he speak to them about the fact that they did raise this little bit of a...
We talked about a number of economic issues this morning in the Oval Office as part of the daily briefing.
So is everybody going to be on message now that absolutely no tax cuts for families?
Promising that everybody's going to be on message may be a bar that's too high for me to leap over.
But that's the goal. Everybody's...
The goal is to get the economy moving again. The goal is to get our government back on...
For any family making
Our
less than...
goal is to get our government back on a path toward fiscal sustainability, to lay the long-term foundation for economic growth. And let's also, one point that I forgot that I think is important in this. Within the very first month of the president taking office, 95% of Americans received a tax cut. That's everybody in the middle class.